Hello and welcome to the first CSL weekly recap. My name is Drew, or Marionett, and I am joined by...
EnteiTainment. Hello.
So, how you doing?
I am doing swimmingly. Can you hear that in the background?
No.
Okay, good.
I think
My brother is going off on an instrument. I don't want it to disturb the people.
It is all okay.
Okay, excellent.
So, let's just get right to it. Let's start with the BC Bastiodons facing off against the Zion Zards. The BC Bastiodons took a 1-0 victory. A very close match. What were your thoughts on it?
The one play that stood out to me was when Bastiodons had his Latias out, and then the Zion Zards tried to double switch, make an aggressive double switch with his Trevenant. He tried to scare out the Latias with the Trevenant and pull a double into Tentacruel, which Bastiodons didn't fall for, and ended up Zards lost his Tentacruel and was unable to spin away any hazards for the remainder of the game.
Yeah, that was definitely something that
I thought that was pretty detrimental and maybe a little too risky.
That didn't need to be made either. Yeah. Something else I noticed was it didn't make too big of a difference, but U-turning with Victini turn 1 would have revealed that Aggron is leftovers, which would have revealed to Cherry that the Slurpuff indeed could not have swept.
True.
But it was good planning on BC's part that like
he knew he would reactivate his turn.
He had a good counter. It didn't come into play much, but I thought a funny Pokemon in this match was a Soft Sand Dusknoir.
Was it actually?
Yeah.
That's awesome. I didn't realize that.
But I think this is a good league start for BC. Not so great for Cherry, but it was close. Cherry's in a close division, so plenty of time to make it up.
I thought it was also interesting that BC chose to have like a Toxic Orb Jolteon. I'm not sure what that would have helped them outspeed, but maybe Scarf Victini, I guess. Yeah, okay. So
or Umbreon and Slurpuff.
Yeah, good preparing on his part, I guess, even though he didn't really end up needing that.
Yeah. So moving on to a 4-0 victory from the San Diego Wild Chargers, who are currently top of the Emerald Division. Reelis getting 5 kills with Jirachi. I think Drain Punch on Jirachi was a great idea.
Yeah.
It literally made anything that wasn't stab super effective.
Right.
On all the other Pokemon.
And I feel like Swablu really, clearly wasn't ready for Drain Punch on Jirachi.
Yeah.
And there's not much we can talk about besides this Jirachi because it ended up getting 5 kills, but it was pretty clear that she was not ready for a offensive Drain Punching Jirachi.
I also think a lot of things people have in mind immediately when they see Jirachi is that it's locked into something, whether it's Scarf or Specs or whatever.
Right.
I think the thing about Jirachi in League format is that it's so versatile, it can do whatever you want it to be. So you can't really make predictions like that, whereas, Swablu went straight into Empoleon, predicting Reelis to be locked into something when he really was able to just predict it and basically win the game once Empoleon was down.
Yeah. I don't know what else can be said. Mega Audino getting destroyed like we thought it would be.
Yeah. I don't think the set was right. I think something like a Cleric or something like a bulkier Audino would have been nicer.
What did she end up having?
It was Calm Mind 3 attacks.
Oh god.
So I don't think that was the ideal prepping on Majestic's part.
Yeah. I guess that's fair. I didn't realize that's what she brought.
Yeah.
But aside from that, Thunderous looked like it was really good against Wild Chargers. So
yeah. I think
it just unfortunately couldn't get through Jirachi. Sorry, go ahead. I keep interrupting you.
It's all right. I think that Reelis made some good predictions in terms of Drain Punching the switch into Empoleon.
Yeah.
So I think that's something to look out for in other games.
Yeah.
Scarf Kabutops worked out pretty nicely. I really think, though, that like a Thunder Wave Thundurus would have really
At least to slow down the Jirachi.
slow down literally everything that was brought.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And Miltank got bodied, so no more
Yeah,
no more of the wrath of Miltank.
Well, that's for week 1 at least.
Couldn't take the Dracos.
All right, moving on, we have the...
Sorry, one sec, pause. Yes.
So, next up, we have the NJ Flabebe facing off against the Washington Weaviles, which was another 4-0 for the NJ Flabebe and Nefertum. I think it could have been a better match.
Meaning
think?
what? Tell me.
I think Dub fire blasting the heat-proof Bronzong and then sacking off Houndoom led to Avila getting 3 kills.
Yeah.
Because everything else couldn't touch it.
that's definitely fair.
As well as the fact that Houndoom put in so much work on more than half of Neff's team.
Yeah.
And this is what happened in our draft analysis video where we're saying that it's very likely that Dub with only one OU Pokemon, which is Skarmory, that can get easily beat by, I mean, this was Thundurus, this was an OU Thundurus, but it can get easily beaten by like a Raichu or something, that this team can get out tiered, I feel.
Right.
But
that's definitely that's fair. I know during the draft analysis you sort of called him out for drafting, I think he drafted Florges or something for his OU pick.
Yeah.
So I would definitely agree with that. I don't think there's any reason to draft Florges as an OU pick.
And it showed, the results showed here in this match.
Yeah, and just speaking of the Florges, the Thundurus just put immediate pressure on that Florges. It basically had to switch in every time until it died, and I don't think Florges really did anything except for take Volt switches and then switch back out.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
I don't know, we'll see if he can pull it together in the future, or if he franchises his Florges, or sorry, not franchises, trades away his Florges.
Right. I think a good franchise could help this team, though they're already at a -4 stump, but it's only week 1, so.
Yeah. What else can we say?
I think that's
we didn't see much else of his team. Just Avila decided it was going to go for a walk through his team.
Yeah, which was pretty interesting. It's pretty cool to see a PU Pokemon coming in.
Yeah.
Do you want to introduce the next one?
Sure. So next up we have the Boston Bisharps versus the Texas Tauros, I believe.
Yes.
So this match, I think, was just pretty much dominated from the start by the Boston Bisharps. He just had to sort of figure out which offensive route he was going to take in order to beat this team. And even though Reuniclus is only 1-1, I felt like Reuniclus was a really solid pick for him because, especially with Calm Mind and Magic Guard, it's able to pretty easily just set up and do a lot of damage. His Garchomp ended up going 3-0, and I think he brought like a Swords Dancing Garchomp.
It was just like a Scarf or Banded Outrage.
Oh, right, Banded. Yeah, my bad. So that obviously did a lot of work. Cresselia, as defensive as it is, still can't take that, which is madness. I saw his team builder. He was getting very excited about his calcs, and yeah, that Garchomp was definitely an extremely powerful Pokemon. And not only that, he brought Sandveil on it to sort of take advantage of...
And Toxic did miss, so...
Yeah, so that ended up working out for him, taking advantage of Hippowdon's Sandstream.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and Manaphy actually didn't do anything, which is surprising for Boston Bisharps.
I think something Tauros have to look out for is, once again, getting out-tiered, having a UU pick as an OU pick, being Crawdont, as well as, they had to prep for things that people might bring in Refute 2 Sand, whether that's Sandville or Sandrush, or just other Pokemon that will get the special defense boost. Teams like that really have to take that into account and what their opponent can really do with their Pokemon to adapt to the setting that they're going to provide in the match.
Yeah, I think Crawdaunt could have done really well on this team. I think he should have put more emphasis on trying to kill that Alomomola, and maybe tried to team build in order to get rid of that. Because if you look at the team that the Boston Bisharps ended up bringing, Crawdaunt, if you can Dragon Dance with Crawdaunt, you murder everything on this team, except for the Alomomola, really. So if he was able to apply more pressure, maybe with some kind of offensive Ludicolo, I don't know the rest of his draft, but I'm sure he has something to handle Alomomola. I think he could have done a lot better.
Crawdaunt did set up, and it was at like +4 or something, and I think Akeem did a very good job shutting it down by sacking off the Uxie like he needed to, and then just getting basically just from there, just protecting over and over with Alomomola, gain the regenerator boosts.
Right, yeah.
So
if he had been able to get rid of that Alomomola, definitely would have been a different situation.
Also, mind the error on the spreadsheet. Rioniclus actually went 1-0 in the match.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, huge many deaths.
Yeah, moving on to a match you're all too familiar with.
So our next match is the Houston Hunters versus the Syracuse Sylveons, which is myself. This is probably the one I can provide the most insight for, so I'm gonna try to
I'll let
do my
you.
best
I'll
here.
let you describe your thoughts on the match, and then I want to comment what I have told you before, but I want to get out there.
So I felt like I prepped relatively well for this team. I've definitely felt more prepared in the past, but I didn't feel unprepared for this team. Over the course of the match, I identified 2 pretty crucial misplays on my part that sort of ended up making it a lot harder for me to win. One of those plays was letting Celebi take that X-Scissor, which I was not... It was kind of frustrating because I noted that Virizion got X-Scissor during my team builder, and I noticed that, and I said, okay, I can't really let Celebi take that. I can't risk that. But I just somehow completely forgot about that during the actual game, and I was expecting a Shadow Claw, which I calced and I knew I could take. So that's just going too fast on my part. I should have slowed down and switched into Quillfish, which is a pretty easy switch into any Virizion.
Right.
So there was that play. And then my other mistake, if I can remember it, I'm trying to think back. Why can't I remember it? I don't know.
Was it you sacked Quillfish off?
When did I sack Quillfish?
Or no?
I don't remember. I don't remember, but there was another one that I felt like I was just going too quickly and not taking my time, so...
Yeah,
but obviously...
the Clawitzer. You could have killed the Clawitzer with
Excadrill. Right,
Excadrill.
yeah, okay, so I switched out an Excadrill on a Clawitzer that was slower than me, and allowed my Quillfish to die to 2 Dark Pulses. So that was obviously a misplay. Quillfish would have allowed me to continue the stall game with the Milotic that ended up happening at the end of the match, and obviously that was extremely hacksy at the end. The kicker was the Leech Seed miss with Gourgeist, because if I had gotten that seed damage, the Milotic would have been dead. But sort of just to add insult to injury.
Yeah, despite the misplays, I think Gourgeist outstalled Milotic.
Yeah.
Which, it was very annoying. I think there were 3 Scald Burns from Milotic. Gourgeist missed the Leech Seed, which, he and the Leech Seed would have been the game winner.
Yeah, so...
And then also, some would argue that the confusion from Water Pulse on Mega Blastoise was hacked, but still Milotic didn't hit itself after turns of confusion.
I was gonna say, so I missed the Leech Seed, and then I got the confusion hacked on my Milotic, which I thought sort of evened it out, and then basically the confusion ended up not mattering at all, so that really sucked. And so at the end I also didn't account for Marvel Scale, but at that point I'd already lost, because I just couldn't kill the Milotic with Earthquake. I could have tried to flinch him, I guess, with Rock Slide, but the chances of that are not the greatest.
Right. So
unfortunate in the end, but
yeah.
It is what it is.
I think it's only week 1, hacks will happen.
Yeah.
But
so It's all good.
You definitely are not like out for it.
No hard
obviously.
feelings.
You're going 12-1.
Yeah, true.
So next we have the Magcargo Tel Aviv, coached by Alpha Juarez, facing off against Anthony or Sandman of the Memphis Mamoswines.
Yeah.
It was a 3-0 for the Magcargo Tel Aviv, and it was an interesting match. It was very hacksy on both sides.
Yeah.
I think the Mamoswines held the majority of the momentum for the first half of the match, but once they had let their counter to Clefable go down, which wasn't much, but it like in the form of Heatran somewhat, once they let that counter go down, then Clefable was able to clean up. Alpha was able to make a comeback. We didn't see much from Mega Abomasnow, which kind of made me sad because I want to see that thing in action. But, it was, I think in the first couple turns, Anthony immediately got a kill on Metagross and already had the momentum building. It was just the fact that he couldn't really touch the Clefable that really screwed him over.
Yeah.
Did you have any additional?
He made a risky play with his Mega Diancie, switching it into a sleeping Metagross, because I'm pretty sure Diancie can't take a bullet punch from Metagross. Maybe it can, but it was definitely a brave play for him, and Metagross ended up staying asleep for like 3 turns, so it worked out for him, and it gave him the immediate momentum. He just unfortunately wasn't able to hold on to it, and then Clefable just did what it does after the Heatran was dead. I think it's interesting that Magcargo chose to bring Mega Abomasnow. I'm not sure what he saw in it, but just looking at the team that ended up coming for the Memphis Mamoswines, Abomasnow gets pretty much bodied by everything on this team except for Suicune, really. So,
right.
Interesting choice there. I too want to see what Abomasnow wants to do, but I don't know if this was the right game to bring it. I guess it didn't end up mattering, but
yeah,
just
in the end it didn't really matter.
Yeah. Oh, and also Zapdos. Zapdos was able to really nullify the Heatran, so that was a good planning on Magcargo's part, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Moving on to the Calgary HydroCannons facing the Florida Feraligatrs, the champion of the D-League. It turned out this was a very, very interesting match. About 50 turns, actually, where the first about 20 were just double switches after double switches.
Yeah.
Obda constantly gaining momentum, killing an Escavalier right off the bat, and then just Obda kept switching to the right matchup, but at the same time Obda was also losing momentum with the Stealth Rocks that were up, which really let a lot of his Pokemon get taken down. Wow, I made another error in here too. I am a horrible person. Magnezone should be 1-0 actually.
Okay.
Anyway, I promise this will be better next time.
This is the first episode, so we'll go easy on.
Yeah. It's all correct on the spreadsheet, don't worry. I think the Feraligatrs made a big mistake by going for a double Swords Dance.
Yeah, I would agree with that. He said it was a misclick, which I guess it would have had to be because he only needed one.
Yeah, even if it wasn't a misclick, I think, or even if he had gone for the close combat, I think the Scarf Magnezone still cleaned up his team if the HydroCannons played it right, because they also had access to Emboar. So the switch into Magnezone is obviously Cradily, but Cradily doesn't have anything on an Emboar.
Right.
So Emboar comes out, kills something, and then just repeats the process.
Yeah.
So I think the HydroCannons did have it by the end, misclick or not. But I guess the misclick was what sealed the deal.
Yeah. The Feraligatrs were making some really aggressive double switches, especially once they revealed superpower on their Nidoqueen.
Quadruple switches.
Yeah, there were some mad switches going on, and it was working at the beginning, but then the HydroCannon sort of caught on and started predicting that, and like staying in with Blissey on the Nidoqueen even after Superpower had been revealed. It was interesting to see both a physical Nidoking and physical Nidoqueen, in my opinion. I thought that was cool. But unfortunately for the Feraligatrs, once the HydroCannons knew that Nidoqueen had Superpower, they were able to pretty easily play around that and keep their Blissey alive until, it died eventually, but it was able to stall out a lot of his Pokemon, get a couple Toxics off, so just doing the usual Blissey stuff, really.
Right. Yeah. So I think Abda's new playstyle is definitely working out decently.
Yeah. And Sucker Punch Emboar coming up huge at the end there.
Yeah, definitely. Finally, the last match of week 1 was the Saugatuck Sandslashes taking on the Detroit Pyroar. The Season 3 champion actually goes down week 1, and I'm really happy because all the stats are right for this one. Do you have any comments? I mean, you were there for the live.
Yeah. I think both players were very nervous, which might have led to some maybe costly plays, because both of them like to predict very aggressively, and sometimes your predictions can be very detrimental.
Two predictions make something strange.
Yeah. So I'm having trouble remembering the actual details of this match just because everything is starting to blend together. But
right.
I think the Licky Licky was definitely an interesting set on Zoops' part, getting like a a counter off on the Scizor. Yeah, that was really cool.
Killing the Scizor.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I think it was pretty cool from the start. It was is he making the decision of, will I happily trade a Licky Licky for a Scizor?
Yeah.
And I think that was a good decision on her part. But in the end, Crobat and Tornadus really could just clean up the team.
Yeah. Unfortunately, she was just...
Yeah, especially when Kecleon, when Kecleon goes Rock Slide on the switch into Rotom Heat, which got rid of the one Pokemon that outsped Crobat.
Yeah, sort of unfortunate. She just wasn't really able to handle the Tornadoes. Especially with a Mega Venusaur on her team, I think she'll be able to learn from this match and be able to try to better prepare for flying types. Not to say that this team was unprepared for flying types. I mean, she has a Kyurem and a Rotom Heat. It just unfortunately didn't work out for her. So I think a lot of teams are going to be baited to bring flying types specifically for Mega Venusaur. So I think she'll be able to take advantage of that in the future.
Mm-hmm. I also really like this match because it seems very, very balanced. Every single Pokemon got one kill.
I was looking at it like nothing swept.
2 kills. Yeah,
that's interesting.
It was a very good match, well played by both sides.
Yeah.
So moving on to the top killers of week 1. Jirachi. What are your thoughts on the Jirachi set of this week?
I think that is well deserved. I would say bringing Drain Punch on Jirachi, like we said, was definitely, I don't know about a stroke of genius, but it obviously helped a lot and enabled him to kill anything that countered Jirachi, like the Empoleon. So having that Life Orb Jirachi with Drain Punch and whatever it was, Iron Head and Zen Headbutt, was really, really nice, and I think a 5-0 top killer Jirachi is definitely well earned by the Wild Chargers.
It was very smart to put Life Orb on it too to increase the damage, but also heal it back with Drain Punch.
It was really nice to see.
The other two are just, they were there.
Clefable was annoying, yeah. And then Milotic, like we were talking about, just managed to hacks his way to victory essentially. But
exactly,
can't be too upset about that. It is Pokemon, so. Milotic is a beast of a mon, very, very defensive, especially if you get a status on it, so understandable.
Definitely agree. So the matches for week 2 will be starting. So I guess we should just go from the top down. We're going to make our predictions on who we think will win and how we think the match will go. But yeah, so we're going to start with the BC Bastiodons taking on the Southeast Swablu. A 1-0 versus a 0-1 match. What are your thoughts?
I think that Swablu gets too much in her own head, and I would say that once things start going poorly for Swablu, she sort of just gives up on it. So I think if she brings the right mentality to this match, she can win it. Because I would say, I don't know their teams exactly, but I think she has a pretty good team matchup coming up here. And although BC Bastiodons are definitely an experienced player, I would say that Swablu would have the advantage here just from her experience in draft-based leagues and from her team. So I'm going to give it to Swablu.
All right, I'm going to disagree with you match one and say the Bastiodons will pick it up. I think that absent Odd No, I think that a good Gyarados set can really put in some work. I think a good general, if he wants to go with that offensive route against the Mega Odd No, or just generally outstalling the Southeast Swablu. The thing I like about the Bastiodons team is that it has the availability to go hyper offense with a Gyarados, or hyper defense with a lot of defensive Pokemon. So I think the Bastiodons outclass Swablu in terms of maybe not team matchup, but team ability. I think Swablu's sets will be very one-dimensional.
Okay, that's fair.
So, yeah. Moving on to the San Diego Wild Chargers facing off Cherrymander and the Zion Zards. I would probably give this to Weaviles. He's been playing very well so far. He has a nice team to just really put in offensive or defensive power against really any opponent. He can really adapt to what he needs to do. He brought a slightly offensive team this week, but I can see him bringing a defensive stallier team if need be. I think the Zion Zards have been trying to make some good predictions, but I think that, I think that the only saving grace that there might be is like their Slurpuff or their Victini. They're hard hitters. But this, I can definitely see this being a hyper offensive match, and in terms of just skill and ability in the hyper offensive playstyle, I think Weaviles takes it.
Yeah. I'm going to agree with you on that. I'm going to give it to the Wild Chargers. I think the match we saw in week 1 sort of speaks for itself. I think he has the ability to win this match, and I would say that the Zion Zards are probably going to be outclassed, but I think it will definitely be an interesting match. Like you said, definitely a very offensive one, maybe down to the wire. I'm not sure. It might be like a narrow 1-0, but I would still give it to the Wild Chargers.
Mm-hmm. So next we have the Detroit Pyroar facing off against the Houston Haunters. Emerald Division match. I'll let you go first on this one.
I think I want to give this to the Pyroar, just because I think her Venusaur can do very well in this matchup. I'm forgetting the bits of the Houston Haunters team that I didn't actually see, but I feel like the Detroit Pyroar can do well here. She obviously has the experience in the draft. She makes a lot of on-point predictions that can give her early tempo from the very start of the game. She was sort of getting a taste of her own medicine against Classy, because Classy makes those predictions as well, and that didn't work out for her the best. But I don't think of Houston Haunters as a team that makes a lot of mad predictions. So I think that the Detroit Pyroar will be able to get sort of early tempo and just ride it out, win the game.
I definitely agree with you. I think the only thing that really stands in Venusaur's way is a Talonflame.
Yeah. Oh, right, Talonflame.
But, I think Izzy is prone to making very oddly counter teams. If that makes sense.
I got you. Yeah.
You wouldn't expect a Licky to be the counter to a Scizor, but it was.
There it is.
So I think just in general team building that she'll take it. So next we have the Calgary HydroCannons versus the Boston Bisharps, which is the only 1-0 versus 1-0 match of the week, which is kind of interesting.
Interesting, yeah. Tell me your thoughts. Speak to me.
I think the Bisharps take this one, and it's because I think they can create a hyper offensive team with Medicham and Manaphy, but also take out the offensive core with their defensive Pokemon like Snorlax and Alomomola. The thing with Obda's team is he has a defensive core and he has an offensive core, both of which are great. But I think Akeem's offensive core beats Obda's defensive core, and I think Akeem's defensive core beats Obda's offensive core.
Interesting. Can you remind me of some of the Pokemon on the HydroCannons team? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I should write these down in the future.
so the defensive core is the Blissey Slowbro one, obviously,
okay.
And then the offensive one is the Magnezone Sylveon.
Okay.
Core, which I guess could be defensive. But...
Yeah. Well, I think I'm going to give this to the Bisharps as well, just because of the ridiculous wall-breaking potential that he has on his team. I think that generally, very offensively driven teams will be able to win against defensively driven teams. I think the HydroCannons do definitely have a more defensively oriented team, especially with that Blissey and like a potential Cleric and Sylveon. I think they are going for more of a bulky kind of draft, and I think that the Bisharps will be able to just take advantage of maybe the lack of speed there and the lack of offensive prowess and just be able to hit them again and again with the Mega Medicham, with the +3 Manaphy, and just do a lot of work very quickly.
Yeah, I agree. So for the next 4 matches, we first have the Memphis Mamoswines taking on the NJ Flabebe. I'll let you go first on this one.
Yeah, you need to remind me of a couple of team members before I can remember the full team. I'm sorry.
All right, so Mamoswine's main hitters are Diancie, Heatran, Amogus, Suicune, whereas Flabebe has the Therians and then Mega Gardevoir, Avalugg.
Okay. The Avalugg, true. Oh man, that thing is a beast. I think I'll give this one to the Mamoswines. I think that the offensive Pokemon he has going for him will be able to break through, like you said, the Therians, or break through the defensive Pokemon on his team. And I feel like the Mamoswines are definitely a solid team, and I'm sort of surprised by the loss there, but I think that they'll be able to bring it back and beat the Flabebe.
All right, yeah. I think it's going to be a close match, but I do think the Mamoswines can come out on top. I think the Flabebe will have to be very creative in defeating this core plus Mega Diancie, because I think they do have plenty of hidden counters to Mega Diancie that I'm not going to name, but I think they definitely have some hidden counters to it, but those hidden counters get shut down by the FWG core on the Mamoswines team. So I think the NJ Flabebe will put in a lot of work, but based on team matchup, I think the Mamoswines win with Mega Diancie and, the counters NJ has to Mega Diancie gets shut down by the rest of Anthony's team.
Fair enough.
So the next match, being the only 0-1 match, will be the Texas Tauros taking on the Florida Feraligatrs. I'm going to give this one to the Tauros. I'm going to go off on a limb here and say the Tauros win this one. I think the Tauros came off of a bad matchup in week 1. I think they have a good draft. They free agented a defogger finally, and I think that will prevent the Feraligatrs from playing the hazard game on the Texas Tauros. Maybe it won't, but the Tauros will definitely have an answer to it. I think a lot of the Feraligatrs' harder hitting Pokemon could get shut down by defensive Pokemon like Cresselia, as long as the Tauros can play it right. But that's just me going out on a limb. I think Blazing could play very well and take it just as easily, but I think it will be a close match. And I know these two are friends, so it'll be a nice match.
Oh, really? I'm actually going to disagree with you and go with the Feraligatrs on this one. I know that they came off sort of a tough loss just now in week 1, but I think watching him and during his match, he definitely had some interesting predictions. Like we were talking about with the Trevenant, he definitely has the ability to make really strong predictions if they work out for him. Obviously that one didn't because he lost his Tentacruel like we talked about, but I think he definitely has the...
Yeah, that was the Zards that lost the Tentacruel.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, damn. Which one is the Feraligatrs?
The team that lost to Obda in the stall match.
Oh, the stall match. Void everything I just said. What else is on the Feraligatrs team?
Rotom, the Nidoqueen.
Oh, the Nidoqueen. Oh, true. Okay, well, I don't know. I think I'm still actually going to give it to the Feraligatrs just for he had that physical Nidoqueen, which is obviously something that is like a sign of intelligence. I don't know, but I think he has the
good team
Pokemon,
building.
Good team building. He has the Pokemon intelligence to make a good team as well as hopefully make some good predictions. And I did play Tauros 2 times last season, and I won 1 and lost 1, and both matches were just like pretty much purely team matchups. There weren't really any predictions happening in our games. It was just like pure switch-ins and switch-outs and just click moves that you think would do well. So I think that the Feraligatrs would be able to outclass them just based on their intelligence as a player.
Okay. Next we have the Magcargo Tel Aviv versus the Washington Weaviles. This will be the first match, in my opinion, where the Weaviles will not be out-tiered because of the Magcargo's Mega. Being Mega Abomasnow.
Right.
I think in terms of tier, both the players are on somewhat of the same level, but I do still want to give this to the Magcargo Tel Aviv. I hope I see Abomasnow putting in work here because I can see it happening. I think the Magcargo Tel Aviv have the good enough priority on their team and good enough just offensive power to shut down a lot of the Weaviles' lower tier drafts and offensive super effective power to shut down the higher tier drafts, aka Skarmory. So I think I have to give this one to the Magcargo Tel Aviv.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you actually. I think Magcargo is just not only, I think his team is better and more interesting, I think he's just more skilled of a player. We saw him, I don't remember his record from last season, but it was obviously very
10-2.
good. Yeah, so I think the Weaviles are going to be outclassed not only in their team matchup, but also in their ability as a player. So I would just give this one to Magcargo hands down.
All right.
I'll let you take this one.
Well, first I want to say I don't think it's going to be hands down. I think it's definitely. I think it's going to be a strong effort. I just don't think that. I think it's going to be the same situation we saw with the Mamoswines versus the Magcargo, where Magcargo will have some hidden secret in the end.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. So for your match, I'm actually not gonna. I'm gonna just predict how the match goes, but I'm not gonna predict the winner. I think because I'm not gonna. I don't know. I mean, how confident are you going in, thinking of this match?
Well, the match is pretty far in the future, and I've already put more thought into this than my entire 4 years at high school. So I think I'll be pretty well prepared, and I think it's actually going to be a really fast match because he doesn't have answers for my offensive threats, and I don't have answers for his. So I think it's going to be a very hard-hitting, fast-paced match. Definitely not a lot of stall, especially because he's bringing a hyper-offensive volt-turning team. So I think it's just going to be doing a lot of damage. Everything's going to be dead by turn 15.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not 15, but I think it's going to be very fast.
I think the Sandlashes will definitely have a different type of playstyle than how they originally did against Izzy, and I think they will be able to. I don't think you should expect the same thing that we saw in week 1. But then again, I don't think you're bringing the same thing generally that we saw in week 1 as well. I think, like you said, both teams are going to bring a lot of offensive pressure and not a lot of defensive pressure. So I think it's going to be a very quick-paced match that will really come down to the wire.
All right, fair enough.
So this was week 1. Do you have any final thoughts on week 1? Any sort of ideas? Any thoughts?
I'm going to continue to be impressed by that Jirachi. Honestly, I know we keep saying it, but I just think that was really awesome to see. Just, I don't know, can't say it enough. And I do think that the match between Classy and Zwoops, I think she just kind of panicked and wasn't ready when he started predicting her predictions. So
definitely,
I think definitely watch out for Zwoops. She's obviously very good and not something to be slept on.
Don't underestimate her for like her 0-1 record.
Yeah, the Sandslashes sort of tossed her around in that match, I guess, but like don't sleep on her.
Also, I want to tell all like our players out there, you know, who are 0-1 or might even go 0-2. It's week 1 and 2, people. There are 13 weeks in this season. You know, don't be a Crackanation. Shots fired. But like, you know, things can always turn around, and you know, you learn from your mistakes, and that's one of the reasons these recaps and analysis are here, to, you know, tell you what you did wrong and what you can actually improve on. So, you know, take what we've said, take what we've told you into week 2 and try to improve on it, and hopefully all these matches will be good. So yeah, this has been Drew
and EnteiTainment. I have one parting word before you do your outro. I feel like I was very unprepared for this live session, so if Drew ever forgives me for the atrocity that was this episode and invites me back, I will try to be more prepared. I'll like write down the teams and stuff.
It's all good. You know, I'm pretty unprepared.
I thought I could remember some stuff, but yeah, it didn't happen. So I apologize for that. If I'm back on here, I will try to be more on point. My bad. Week 1, give me a break.
Week 1 was cool though.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more CSL updates. See y'all later.
Bye.